The scorching heat of summer had settled over Seoul, but it was nothing compared to the fire that burned within Taehyung when he was angry. Everyone who knew him understood to tread carefully when the ever-doting husband's temper flared, except for one person, his serene, soft-spoken spouse, Jungkook. Jungkook wasn't afraid of Taehyung's explosive moments. To him, Taehyung's anger was more passion than fury. It was the man's way of expressing his unfiltered emotions, but it didn't mean Jungkook wouldn't step in to diffuse the tension when needed. And Taehyung needed Jungkook more than he'd admit, especially when his anger spiraled out of control. Taehyung slammed the car door shut, the loud bang echoing through their quiet driveway. His jaw was clenched, and his normally soft features were hard with irritation. Jungkook watched from the living room window, lips pursed as he debated how to approach his husband. He could already guess what had happened. Taehyung had probably gotten into a disagreement at work again. When Taehyung stormed through the front door, his fiery eyes met Jungkook's calm, doe-like gaze. For a moment, neither of them spoke. "Can you believe the audacity?" Taehyung began, pacing furiously as he ranted about his co-worker. Jungkook let him vent, his head tilted slightly in understanding, but he didn't interrupt. Taehyung's deep voice filled the room with frustration, his hands gesturing wildly as he recounted every perceived slight. Despite the tension in the air, Jungkook found himself smiling softly. This was Taehyung, a man who felt everything so deeply that even a small argument could consume him. When Taehyung's pacing started to feel more like stomping, Jungkook decided it was time to step in. "Tae," he called gently, his voice soothing like a balm against the heat of Taehyung's fury. "What?" Taehyung snapped, though his tone held no real venom when it came to Jungkook. "Come here," Jungkook said, patting the couch beside him. Taehyung hesitated for a moment, but Jungkook's soft, inviting smile made it impossible to resist. He shuffled over, still grumbling under his breath, and plopped down next to Jungkook. Without a word, Jungkook reached out and cupped Taehyung's face in his hands. The sudden intimacy made Taehyung's words falter, his frustration momentarily forgotten as he stared into Jungkook's warm eyes. "Take a deep breath," Jungkook urged, his thumbs gently stroking Taehyung's cheeks. Taehyung inhaled deeply, his shoulders relaxing slightly under Jungkook's touch. "Good," Jungkook murmured. "Now, tell me, what really upset you?" Taehyung's initial anger melted as he began to talk, his words softer now. Jungkook listened intently, nodding in all the right places. When Taehyung finished, Jungkook leaned forward and pressed a pen to his forehead. "You're so passionate, Tae. That's one of the reasons I love you. But you don't have to let these things ruin your day. You're better than that." Taehyung's lips worked into a small smile despite himself. "You always know what to say to make me feel better," Jungkook grinned, his bunny teeth showing. "That's my job, isn't it? Cooling down my hot-headed husband," Taehyung chuckled, pulling Jungkook into his lap. "I don't deserve you," he said, his voice softer now as he rested his forehead against Jungkook's. "You deserve everything," Jungkook whispered, brushing his fingers through Taehyung's soft hair. "Just don't forget that I'm always here to calm the storm." It was moments like these that reminded Taehyung why he had fallen so deeply in love with Jungkook. No one else could ever make his anger dissipate with just a touch, a smile, and a few simple words. Only Jungkook had the power to cool the fire within him, leaving nothing but warmth and love in its place. That evening, the storm outside had quieted, much like Taehyung's turbulent emotions. The two of them sat together on the couch, Jungkook leaning into Taehyung's chest as they watched a movie neither of them was paying much attention to. But Jungkook noticed the way Taehyung's hand lingered on his waist, thumb tracing lazy circles. The way his husband kept sneaking glances at him instead of the screen, as if still amazed that Jungkook had the power to bring him peace. "Hey," Jungkook said softly, turning to look up at him. Taehyung responded, his eyes already locked on Jungkook's face. "You know you can tell me anything, right?" Jungkook's voice was gentle, but there was a weight behind it. Taehyung nodded, leaning down to rest his forehead against Jungkook's. "I know. And I promise, I'll try to handle things better next time. He sighed, searching for the right words. "Sometimes, I don't know how to let things go. But you make it easier." "You always do," Jungkook smiled, pressing a chaste to Taehyung's lips. "That's what I'm here for. We're a team, remember?" Taehyung's arms tightened around Jungkook, pulling him closer. "You're not just my team. You're my everything." Meanwhile, unbeknownst to Jungkook, Taehyung was already planning something special, a way to show his gratitude and love for the man who constantly grounded him. Little did Jungkook know, Taehyung had a habit of turning his passion into action. And when it came to his husband, Taehyung's gestures were always as grand and heartfelt as his emotions. What would he do to show Jungkook how much he meant to him? Would it be a simple, heartfelt surprise, or would Taehyung's dramatic side take over? The next morning, Taehyung woke up earlier than usual, the early sunlight streaming through their bedroom window. Jungkook was still sleeping peacefully beside him, his soft breathing the only sound in the quiet room. Taehyung smiled to himself, watching the way his husband's hair cascaded across the pillow, how his lips were slightly parted in the calmness of his sleep. He couldn't help but feel his heart swell with affection. He was lucky, truly lucky, to have someone like Jungkook by his side. And today, he was determined to show him just how much he appreciated it. Jungkook stirred, blinking his eyes open to find Taehyung already sitting up, the early light casting a soft glow around him. There was a gleam in Taehyung's eyes, one that Jungkook recognized well, a gleam that usually meant trouble, but this time, it was different. It was a gleam of excitement, of anticipation. "What's up?" Jungkook asked, his voice still thick with sleep. Taehyung's grin widened, and he leaned into Jungkook's temple. "I'm going to make today about you." Jungkook blinked, still not fully awake but intrigued. "What do you mean?" Taehyung got out of bed, his movements swift and purposeful. "I've been thinking about it all night, and I want to show you how much you mean to me. I know I'm not always the easiest person to deal with, especially when I get all fired up. But you always keep me grounded. You always know how to calm me down." Jungkook sat up, a little confused but touched by the sincerity in Taehyung's voice. "Tai, you don't have to do anything. Just being with me is enough." Taehyung shook his head, a playful glint returning to his eyes. No. Today's for you. I've planned something." "Stay put." With that, Taehyung quickly left the room. Jungkook blinked again, this time more awake, wondering what his husband was up to. He stretched and got out of bed, deciding to follow Taehyung. As he entered the kitchen, he was met with the delicious scent of pancakes. Taehyung was standing at the stove, flipping pancakes with the ease of someone who had done this countless times before. "Breakfast in bed?" Jungkook asked, raising an eyebrow in amusement. "Not quite," Taehyung said with a wink. But it's a start. Jungkook couldn't help but laugh at the simple joy of it all. Taehyung, despite being a fiery, passionate man, had his own way of showing love, through acts of service and care, even if they were small. This was just one of the many ways Taehyung expressed his deep affection. As they sat down to eat, Taehyung's face softened as he reached across the table, taking Jungkook's hand in his. "I just wanted you to know that, no matter what happens, you're everything to me. I'm not perfect, but you make me want to be better. You make me want to keep trying." Jungkook squeezed his hand, his heart full of emotion. Taehyung smiled, his eyes filled with love. "And because I love you so much, I've arranged for something special. I want to spend the day with you, doing whatever you want. Just us. No distractions, no worries. Let me take care of you today." Jungkook felt his heart flutter. "You're already taking care of me, Tae. I don't need anything more." But Taehyung wasn't having it. "You deserve the world, Jungkook. You always put everyone else first. Today, it's your turn. Now, get ready. We've got a whole day ahead of us." As the day progressed, Taehyung's surprise was slowly revealed. From a relaxing afternoon picnic at a park where the two of them could lie on a blanket, surrounded by nature, to a cozy dinner at their favorite restaurant, Taehyung had thought of everything. The entire time, he kept his focus on Jungkook, his eyes never leaving his husband's face as he made sure Jungkook felt cherished. It was at the end of the day, as they returned home, that Taehyung led Jungkook to the balcony. The sun had just set, leaving the sky painted with hues of pink, purple, and gold. "I wanted to end the day with something special," Taehyung said softly, pulling a small box from his pocket. Jungkook's eyes widened in surprise. "Tae, what is that?" Taehyung smiled, holding the box out to him. "Just a little something to remind you that you're always in my heart." "Always?" Jungkook took the box carefully and opened it, revealing a delicate necklace with a charm that read "Always you." Tears stung at the corners of his eyes as he looked up at Taehyung. "Tae, you didn't have to." But Taehyung gently took the necklace from the box and placed it around Jungkook's neck. "I wanted to. Because you're my forever." Jungkook stood still, overwhelmed by the depth of Taehyung's love, and him softly, the world around them fading away as they melted into each other. In that moment, Jungkook knew he didn't need grand gestures or flashy surprises. All he needed was Taehyung's love, steady and true. But he couldn't deny how deeply moved he was by the thoughtfulness his husband had shown today. Taehyung may have been quick to anger, but he was even quicker to show how deeply he loved, and that was more than enough for Jungkook. That followed were quieter, but no less filled with affection. Taehyung had cooled his fiery temper, and Jungkook had long since taken to wearing the "Always You" necklace like a badge of honor. It was a reminder that despite the challenges they faced, despite the highs and lows, they were a team, one that could weather any storm together. A week later, they found themselves back in the living room, lounging on the couch, each wrapped in the other's presence. Jungkook rested his head on Taehyung's shoulder, the soft hum of their favorite playlist filling the room. Taehyung, who had been flipping through a book, paused and tilted his head toward Jungkook. "You know," Taehyung began, voice casual, but there was a fondness in his eyes, "I never thanked you properly." Jungkook blinked up at him, his brows furrowing in confusion. "For what?" Taehyung smiled, a ray, soft expression that always made Jungkook's heart skip a beat. "For loving me. Even when I'm a handful. You've always known how to calm me down." even when I didn't want to hear it. You're patient with me. And I'm grateful. Jungkook chuckled lightly, pressing his palm against Taehyung's chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart. You make it easy, Tae. You've always made it easy. Taehyung shifted so that he could pull Jungkook into his arms more comfortably, his eyes soft with emotion. I'm not perfect. You know that, right? I know. Jungkook Taehyung's neck, a soft, lingering gesture that said more than words ever could. I'll keep trying, Taehyung whispered, his lips brushing the top of Jungkook's head. And I'll always make it up to you when I slip. Jungkook smiled, pressing closer. You don't have to keep making it up. You're perfect just the way you are. For a long moment, they sat in silence, enjoying the simple comfort of each other's company. The tension that used to brew between them in moments of anger was now a thing of the past, replaced by an unshakable understanding and an unspoken bond that nothing could break. Later that night, as they lay in bed, Taehyung turned to Jungkook, his voice soft and contemplative. You really are everything to me, Kook. Sometimes, I wonder how I got so lucky. Jungkook's lips curled into a sleepy smile as he turned to face Taehyung, his hand reaching up to trace the curve of Taehyung's jaw. I'm the lucky one. You're everything I've ever wanted. Taehyung's heart swelled with love as he leaned in for a promise, a whisper of forever. I love you, Taehyung murmured against Jungkook's lips, the word more meaningful than ever before. I love you too, Jungkook replied, his voice thick with emotion. And as they drifted into the peaceful quiet of the night, wrapped in each other's arms, both knew they had found something rare and beautiful. Their love wasn't always perfect, but it was theirs, passionate, steady, and above all, unbreakable.